Hey everybody, before we jump into today's build, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. As you can see behind me, my background is not green screened, and I am currently in the process of rearranging my entire office. So you'll see in this video the quality is a little bit lower because I'm moving things around and just kind of doing the best I can, but I'm going to be making things look a lot better on the channel here coming up very soon. I'm going to be taking next week off from recording, so Grave Domain Cleric will be the following week. It will not be next week, but in that time I will be moving a bunch of things around in my office. The other reason why I'm taking next week off is because I have some very exciting news to share with all of you. With the recent growth with the channel, I have seen the need to update basically everything. When I first started this channel, I just kind of made something the best that I could with our fish logo and that sort of thing. But it's kind of overstayed its welcome, and it's time that we update that to something that looks a little bit better. So throughout this next week, you will be seeing a bunch of things updated on all of my socials, on the Discord, which is down in the description if you want to join that as well. We have D&D, we have Pokemon, we have all kinds of stuff on the Discord server, so you can feel free to join that. And this will also be up on my Twitter and all of that good stuff. So here is the reveal. There you go. This is the new logo for the channel, and I'm really excited to be showing it to you all for the first time. And so you will see this being implemented all over my socials. When we live stream in the near future, then this will also be what is used, and all kinds of exciting things. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And without any further ado, let's jump into today's video. What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now, this week we are finishing up talking about the Forge Domain Cleric, and this has been our best cleric so far, so I thought it would deserve a look as far as building one. So, before we jump in, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so please don't be one of those people. Help us out, help the channel to grow. And actually, we have some very exciting things coming next week, so again, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything that's coming up. It's pretty exciting, honestly. And of course, click the bell so you're notified whenever new videos are uploaded, and share the video with your friends, and same thing, share the channel as well. That always helps us grow. So the Forge Domain Cleric is a really cool cleric. It's our first one that has actually ranked highly enough to get a build, so that's really cool. And it's just a lot of fun. Being able to worship the Forge and being able to create things from nothing is just amazing. It's very flavorful, it's very powerful, it's just fun. And so I wanted to build a fun build with some kick to it as well, so I think you guys will enjoy that. So let's go ahead and jump in to today's build. All right, so level 1. For our race, we are going to be going custom lineage. I know we always go custom lineage on the channel, but getting a feat at level 1 is just really, really nice, especially since we want a couple of feats throughout the course of this build, and we also want a lot of ASIs as well. There are so many things that we want on this build, and I don't think we're going to quite get time for all of them, but we're going to do our best. So for our free feat at level 1, we are going to take Magic Initiate. Now, it's interesting. We are going to actually be choosing not Druid like what you might assume, but we're actually going to go with Warlock here. And the reason is, well, you'll see here in just a minute. For our 2 cantrips, we are going to pick up Blade Ward, which is okay, but it's nice because we are multi-classing in this build, so we're not going to necessarily get that resistance that we would have gotten otherwise at level 20, and yet we're going to be kind of replacing it with a cantrip, which is pretty cool. We also get Green Flame Blade here, which we are going to be using quite a bit. I wanted to be able to set our blade on fire, and this is kind of the closest way to do it, at least for now. We can kind of set other people on fire with this cantrip, so it's cool. It's really neat. It's a nice cantrip. It scales well, and it can help do a little bit of splash damage if 2 things are right next to each other, which isn't going to happen all the time, but when it does, it'll feel really nice. And then for our first level spell, we're going to pick up Armor of Agathis, which I know you're thinking is weird to pick up that spell. But Armor of Agathis is a really, really cool spell. And yes, without scaling, it's tough. First of all, talk to your DM before going this route. I'm making this build kind of what I'm calling the Song of Fire and Ice. I wanted to mix some fire and some ice elements into this, and this is where we begin with our ice and our fire. So talk to your DM. All of the newly updated things in Tasha's and beyond have said that you use your spell slots to cast a spell after you have used up your one free casting for the day. See if your DM will allow you to do that with Magic Initiate. I allow this at my tables. My wife is playing an Artificer right now. She picked up Magic Initiate. She picked up Magic Missile, and so I allow her to cast it once for free per day, and then she can use her spell slots after that if she wants to cast it again. I don't see the problem with that. I think it's totally fine, and this would then allow you to upcast Armor of Agathis later. So definitely ask, because I think that's a really, really good distinction. Otherwise, take the feat that we will take at level 4. We'll get there in just a minute. For our stats, we are going pretty standard here. 17 into Wisdom, 15 in Strength, 13 Constitution, 12 Dexterity, 10 Charisma, 8 Intelligence, and our +2 going in Wisdom for a 19. Now we need at least that 15 in Strength to wear our heavy armor, which we are going to get proficiency in because we are actually not starting with Cleric. We're actually starting Fighter, and I know what you're thinking. Fighter, just the Fighter dip is so strong. Yes, it is, but the thing is, it's really flavorful on this build particularly, and it just fit the theme way too well for me to go anything different, and you'll see why here in just a second. So for your equipment, just pick up the heaviest armor that you possibly can. We're working towards full plate as soon as you can get a hold of it. Obviously, it's going to be a while before you can afford it, but as soon as you can, go ahead and pick that up. Get a shield as well, and then just one of the higher damage die one-handed weapons. So battle axe, warhammer, longsword, something like that. You can use those as well. I like those for the ability to be versatile with them. So if you ever want to put the shield away and drop a little bit of AC, you can, and then use those two-handed. I prefer the options, but that's just me. Then level 1, let's start taking some levels here. At Fighter 1, we get a couple of things. We get our fighting style, and I'm actually going to recommend the Superior Technique fighting style. Now, normally I would do defense, but honestly, I don't think that really fits on this build because we're already going to be able to boost our armor class with our features just from being a cleric. So I don't think there's really a reason for me to take that fighting style. If you want to, great. You can have a +2 on your armor at level whenever we get to Cleric, and that's kind of crazy, right? That's really good. So definitely worth looking at, but I'm going to recommend taking Superior Technique and picking up Trip Attack. Now, Trip Attack is a really fun one that allows you to possibly knock your opponents prone, which is really, really nice. And that would then, of course, give you advantage once we have extra attack, which we will be getting on this build. And so that can help you to be pretty effective, which is pretty cool. It also adds a little bit of extra damage. Superior Technique doesn't quite go to the D8, it's a D6, so the damage isn't as much as what I would like, but it's pretty good for a fighting style. It's pretty nice. We also get Second Wind, so some free healing as a bonus action. 1d10 plus fighter level, which our fighter level is going to be okay here. It's not going to be crazy, but it's a decent amount of healing. It's a nice feature for sure. At level 2, we get Action Surge. We're continuing on with Fighter. I know, putting off the Cleric levels, but it's fine. Action Surge basically allows you to take 2 actions. So then for right now, you could Trip Attack and then Action Surge and then attack with advantage before you get extra attack. So that is just something that you can do, help you with some crits. At level 3, we are Fighter 3 and we get our subclass, and I wanted to make sure we went ahead and picked up our subclass here before we moved on because it's really powerful and flavorful, and I love it. It's just a lot of fun. So we are going to be taking the Rune Knight, and so the Rune Knight just felt super on brand for me for this build because we are worshiping the god of the forge. We're making armor and making these things, and now we can infuse them with magical power. Yeah, we're getting very on the brink of Artificer kind of levels, but it's really cool, and I really think this is nice. And again, we're talking about the Song of Ice and Fire on this build, so Frost Rune and Fire Rune. Now, Frost Rune will come up every now and then. It's not the most insane thing, but it'll come up. It'll come up every now and then. The Fire Rune you can use pretty often if you want to use that. It's a little bit of extra damage. The saving throw is probably going to be passed most of the time to get out of the little fire shackles, but it's still a little bit of extra damage, which is always nice. So I think that's cool. I think it's really cool. And then we get Giant's Might, of course, and so we can become a big boy and do a little bit of extra damage on that as well. So always nice. So level 4, we are going to be multi-classing into our main class for this build, and we're going to finally be a Cleric 1. Yes, I know the ASI and feat and extra attack and all of those things are right there, but I want to go ahead and get our spellcasting and our Cleric things going before I do that. There are some key features that I want to pick up before picking up extra attack, actually, and I think that it will be worth diving a little deeper into Cleric and then going back and picking those up later. So it's totally fine. So we get our spellcasting here at level 1, as well as our subclass, which give us some bonus proficiencies, but we're not going to be using them because we already got them from being a fighter. And we of course get Blessing of the Forge as well, which is an amazing feature. So now we can just have extra damage dealing weapons or extra defensive armor just at level 1, which is amazing. I love that feature. For spellcasting, of course, pick your favorites is what I normally say here. So for cantrips, Guidance, Sacred Flame, Thaumaturgy, the standards right there. First level spells, again, you're a Cleric, so take the really good ones. Bless, Cure Wounds, Guiding Bolt, Healing Word, Sanctuary, Shield of Faith, things like that. Just go ham. You're a Cleric now, and so now do Cleric things. It's really fun. We also then at level 2 we get our Channel Divinities, and we of course get 3 options here. We get Turn Undead, Artisan's Blessing, and Harness Divine Power. We have talked about all of these in detail, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. But our Artisan's Blessing is one that is situational, but it is so nice to have it, and you can pull all kinds of shenanigans with that. So that is very handy. And when you're not using that, Harness Divine Power just to get your spell slots back. Why not, right? Very nice feature. At Cleric 3, we get 2nd level spells, and so we're going to pick up Aid, Hold Person, Lesser Restoration, Prayer of Healing, Spiritual Weapon. Those are all amazing Cleric spells. Those should be on every Cleric's tool belt. Then at level 4, Cleric 4, we get another feat or an ASI, and I'm going to go with one more feat here, and I'm going to pick up Warcaster. So we've been having a shield and a weapon in one hand, except that it's very difficult to perform somatic components with that. So we're going to pick this up to fix that problem, and we also can now cast spells as opportunity attacks, which can be very helpful as we get more and more powerful spells as well. So that's pretty cool. It's really nice. Then at Cleric 5, our Destroy Undead comes online for CR 1/2 or below, and then we get 3rd level spells such as Daylight, Mass Healing Word, Revivify, Sending, Speak with Dead, and Spirit Shroud. All really cool spells. I think Spirit Shroud is a especially good one to take up your concentration. You get this little aura around you, and you just smack people around in it and deals a little bit of extra damage. So I mean, combined with your Giant's Might, your Fire Rune, and all of these other ways that you can deal a little bit of extra damage, it starts to really add up. And I really like this. You know, our Green Flame Blade has scaled since we began, so that's also doing extra damage now. So you're dealing a decent amount of damage, but you've also got all of your normal Cleric stuff. So I think you're getting the best of both worlds here. I think it's really nice. Cleric 6, we get a Channel Divinity usage twice per short rest now, and then we also get Soul of the Forge, which is what I was kind of blitzing towards. Soul of the Forge is too good of a feature to pass up. Again, I've spoken about all of these in great detail in our video earlier this week. If you missed that, that'll be up in the act card above right there. All right, level 10 overall. We're going back to Fighter. I wanted to pick up a few final things in Fighter before we move on permanently, but I think that we get enough out of these 2 levels of Fighter where it's worth taking it. So we're going to go ahead and get another ASI or feat right here. We just got one a few levels ago, and we're going to go ahead and bump our Wisdom up to a 20 and our Strength up to a 16. This will help with our damage dealing potential with our weapons, and it will also help with our spell saving throw DC, our ability to hit with our spells, that sort of thing. Our spells are our main focus because, again, we are a cleric, but I want to make sure that if we have to get down and dirty, if we're up in people's faces, we have all of these things where we can tie people down, where we can do some really amazing fun things. So now we're going to get extra attack at fighter 5, which is, you know, finally level 11. It just took 11 levels to get a 5th level feature, but it's really nice to be able to do this now. You now have extra attack. We still have trip attack from earlier, and so we can knock people over and then make 3 more attacks while they're prone, assuming the first one knocks them prone. And so that can be really, really powerful, and you're just dealing all this extra damage to them. It really adds up. I really, really like it. So really, really cool. And now we're going back to Cleric, and we are going to stay there the rest of the way. So at Cleric 7, we get no features, but we get things like Banishment and Control Water. Control Water is pretty situational, but nice to have on your tool belt whenever you need it. Again, we're a prepared class, so you can just bring what you need for that day. Banishment, that's a lot less situational and definitely is really nice, especially around this level. Then at Cleric 8, we get another ASI or a feat, and I'm going to go ahead and take a +2 in our strength to get that up to an 18. We also get our Destroy Undead upgraded to a CR1, and we get Divine Strike. So now we're dealing a little bit of extra fire damage on our weapon attacks, which again is amazing. So we're really racking up the damage we can do with our melee attacks. We've got really good AC. We're pretty sturdy at this point. And of course, I'm assuming you've picked up some really cool magic items at this point. And so if you have a magic weapon, now you can move your level 1 feature over to your armor, or vice versa, whatever it happens to be that you want to do. There's a lot that this leaves as far as creativity and versatility. There's just so many things that I love about this build. Cleric 9, we get no features, but we get our 5th level spells. So things like Flame Strike, Greater Restoration, Holy Weapon, Mask Cure Wounds, and Scrying, all really nice. Scrying is, again, situational, but super nice when you need it. I really, really like that. Cleric 10, we get Divine Intervention that comes online here, so you can now ask your deity to do you a favor. Most of the time, your deity is going to say no, but you never know. You could get lucky. You never know. Then at Cleric 11, our Destroy Undead goes up to a CR2, and we also get 6th level spells. I would suggest taking things like Harm, Heal, and Sunbeam. All of those are really, really nice. Sunbeam is especially fitting on this. You could reflavor it as like this is the fire from a forge coming down. All kinds of things that you can do with this. At Cleric 12, we get another ASI or feat. We're going to max out our strength, which is great. And then Cleric 13, no features, but we get 7th level spells. Firestorm. Gotta take it on this build for sure. Resurrection and Symbol are also really nice to take. And then finally, last 2 levels, Cleric 14, our Destroy Undead is now to a CR3. And then we get our lack of features at Cleric 15, but we can pick up things like Sunburst at our 8th level spell slots. So let me know what you think of this build below. I think this is a really fun build. Any builds that deal with fire, I think, are just super fun, honestly. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get into our honorable mentions. So number 1 is one that comes with a massive caveat. The first one that I would suggest possibly considering is a Wildfire Druid. Now, Druids do not wear things with metal, so you would have to talk to your DM and see if your DM will homebrew that to where your Druid will wear heavy armor. Otherwise, this build doesn't really work. Otherwise, it's just kind of wasted. So definitely see if you can wear armor on your Druid, and if so, Wildfire Druid is super, super cool. I love having the little fire spirit that can go around and teleport and shoot little seeds and things. It's very handy. You also will then get things like Shillelagh, which means that you wouldn't have to necessarily focus on your strength all that much. And instead of doing any bit of our strength ASIs, we would have been putting all of those into Constitution. So it just helps you statistically as well. So a lot of really cool things. Number 2, I considered taking an Evocation Wizard. Evocation Wizard is really nice because then you can put out these AoE spells and you can cause your friends to take no damage, which is really cool. The thing about this is, you know, there are 2 ways to think about the Evocation Wizard. I'm going to keep this brief because we haven't covered this on the channel yet. But you can either say that it is a newbie's best friend, or you can say that it is a master's best friend. In that a newbie would be able to then just avoid killing your friend with a fireball. Instead, you could also think of it as a master can now put this exactly where they want to cover as many enemies as they want, instead of having to necessarily worry about, oh, am I going to hit this person? No, I can hit 5 guys where normally I could only hit 2 while avoiding my friends. I think that it's really nice. I think Sculpt Spell is a really cool ability. And finally, of course, Artificer. Taking Armorer Artificer, or even just 2 levels and getting infusions, is just a really, really nice dip and definitely worth considering. I really think that that's really nice. Then we get our feats that I thought about taking. Magic Initiate, but for Druid. Taking Shillelagh is nice. Taking Shillelagh would be really nice because then again, we don't have to worry about strength. Shillelagh allows us to use wisdom instead for our weapon attacks, and I would very much like that. So definitely something to consider. The other thing is, of course, tough. We are a frontliner in this build. We are up in it, and we are the battle cleric that deals fire and heals everybody else. And so having a bit of extra HP, always a really, really nice thing. And then finally, for our races that we could have taken, a lot of dwarven races would work really well with this. I like the mountain dwarf, I like the gray dwarf, and I like the Kaladesh. All of those are really nice to bring on this. All these dwarfs just fit the flavor so well, and that's just a lot of fun. The other one would be a Protector Aasimar. Again, we are talking about the old rules here. I'm not implementing Monsters of the Multiverse just yet into my content, just because a lot of people don't have it yet, and it's kind of, it changes a lot of things for the better, but also there are some things it changes for the worse. And so I'm assuming old rules here. So I like the Protector Aasimar. So that is our video for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. If so, leave a like on the video and subscribe. And of course, leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think. Next week, we are talking about the Grave Domain Cleric, Caduceus Clay himself. And I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.